Good morning, everybody, and welcome back after the break. Carol McCarthy is my name. I'm the Catchments Team Manager with the Local Authority Waters Programme. And my talk is about 2 years on the ground, identifying problems and fixing them. So, welcome to Virtual Galway, a challenging year to celebrate European Capital of Culture. Our seas and lakes and rivers have always played a part in inspiring the culture of a nation. There are many wise sayings about water from across the world, but the one that stands out for me is at the bottom there from India. It is easy to throw something into the river, but hard to get it out again. Nitrate, phosphate, ammonium, sediment, pesticides, their presence in our waters is impacting water quality. So what can we do about that? Many of the actions required are about practice change rather than infrastructure investment. How can we prevent the pollutants getting into our waters in the first place? The strength of the current programme to implement the River Basin Management Plan for Ireland lies in the gathering of the local scientific evidence to define the problem, in the persistence of the agricultural advisors in the ASAP programme to work with farming communities, in the resolve of the public bodies to implement the required measures, and in the determination of the community water officers to bring people together along the water quality journey. LAWPRO is a year and a half into a 3-year programme, and the data presented here is updated to the end of May. And you can see the 190 PAAs there in the column on the left, and our progress towards that target in the other columns. But there is sometimes too much of a focus on numbers. We need to ensure that quality does not get lost in quantity. Our work methods are new, and we are learning as we go, and taking time to ensure consistency of approach and understanding across the team. The Water Framework Directive, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It is all about the pacing, and it's easier to take the journey together. A little support goes a long way to stay positive and keep the goal of good water quality in sight. I'm going to focus on a single water body, the Caha 20 in Cork, north of Dunmanway, just one of 726 water bodies that are listed in the River Basin Management Plan for the focused attention of the LAWPRO team. This water body has a high ecological status objective. It has only been at good status since 2012, and it is at risk of not meeting its objectives. It is part of the Bandon River SAC, which has 4 qualifying interests, 2 types of habitat and 2 species, including the freshwater pearl mussel. The LAWPRO team's field assessment was undertaken in the spring and summer of 2019 along the main channel of the Caha River and its tributaries. And impacts were identified from the red star on the map down to the WFD monitoring point at the outlet, which is at Caha Bridge. This slide here shows some of the results and observations recorded in the local catchment assessment as the field team moves section by section along the river and its tributaries. So just a quick summary of the catchment assessment findings. Nutrient impacts were found on the main channel from agricultural sources with diffuse endpoint sources. There were sediment impacts with bank erosion and cattle access on the main channel. There was habitat impact due to hydromorphology pressure and channelization. There was sediment impact from a wind farm construction. We also came across some tree felling, although that was later deemed to be not significant. And there were the usual problems of litter and invasive species. In this case, the invasive species was Himalayan balsam, and it had been recently treated. So these are just some examples of the problems that we found in the Caha 20. Here you can see field drains with stone backfill discharging straight into the river. Here, some land reclamation and intensification of agriculture. That's Dave Hegarty there, one of the Southwest team. Hi, David. Pondering what's going on in the landscape. Here you can see new bog drains. And here, hydromorphological impacts on stream habitat. You can see how the sides of the channel were scraped away and all the vegetation is gone. In this channel here, there were nutrient and sediment issues. There were sensitive taxa present in our first round of sampling in May, but they were scarce or absent in August. There was a sediment plume on kicking and high macrophyte cover in the channel. Stream has also been straightened and possibly deepened and widened too. Here we see a peaty field which was reseeded right up to the stream. And much of the peaty land that will be bog or wet grassland has been turned into permanent pasture and improved grassland. And this results in sediment in tributary streams and nutrient runoff. Here we can see the stream has been culverted and a boulder embankment installed and riparian vegetation removed. And that's Paul O'Callaghan, again, a member of our Southwest team. Hi, Paul. And here on the right-hand side, a cattle access point, and also in the middle of the screen, bank erosion, and that will eventually lead to collapse of that bank into the stream. And here again, land reclamation and the stream dugout. So here the team has summarised the significant pressures in the catchment, and they found a mixture of point and diffuse sources, many of them from agriculture, elevated phosphate, ammonia, nitrate. There was one point source with a pipe discharging from a farmyard to a tributary stream, and sewage fungus was evident there. There were multiple cattle access points in the main channel, including within the SAC and also on the tributary streams. And there was evidence of bank erosion, sedimentation, and poaching of the bank. For hydromorphology, land drainage was an issue. Agricultural land reclamation, channelization of tributary streams, and then other anthropogenic pressures included wind farms. So there was siltation from a wind farm construction and elevated suspended solids in the drain immediately downstream of the substation site, and that was also upstream of the SAC. So following that field work, there were 7 referrals made. The first 4 of them were significant pressures. The second 3 there of them were not significant. However, because we're located in a water body that has a high status objective, and because we're also located within an SAC, even small amounts of anthropogenic activity can impact on our water quality, and therefore it was decided to refer those also. So the first referral was around cattle access points on the main channel within the SAC. The second one was that pipe drain I mentioned earlier into the tributary stream from a farmyard. The third one was around nutrient runoff that was quite widespread within the catchment, but with a focus on critical source areas. And the fourth one then was around hydromorphology, the channelization of the stream, and all that land reclamation. The 3 referrals then that were not as significant, the first one was a stream culvert and that reseeding of the peat soils. The second one was 10 cattle access points on tributaries. Each one of those individually may not be impacting significantly, but there can be a cumulative impact. And then referral 7 was hydromorphological impact. The wind farm development was considered a significant pressure as sediment levels in the stream draining the site during some of our sampling events did exceed the guidelines for salmoniid waters, and again because of the proximity of the SAC downstream. And LAWPRO has worked in conjunction with Cork County Council to monitor that and ensure the developer mitigates the impact on surface waters. That hasn't been a formal referral yet, but it will be. So what is a referral? What does it look like? So here in part 1, we have the referral reference number, and that's taken from the WFD application. We have the referral date, we have the details of the PAA and the water body, and then we have a description of the catchment's significant issue. And here it's about nutrients and it's about sediment. And the description of the referral area, in this case, it's catchment wide. So ASAP advisors will be working with all of the farmers within the catchment. Part 2 of the referral then, on the left-hand side, is just some details for the WFD application. And on the right-hand side, for the ASAP advisor, we'll tell them what the significant issue is. In this case, it's sediment and hydromorphology. We'll detail the pathways, and we'll describe the main crop type, and in this case, it's permanent pasture. In part 3 of the referral then, we'll look at the evidence we have to support that significant issue. So be it SSIS, where we look at the macroinvertebrate community, be it water chemistry, be it visual, or be it physicochemical. And in this case, it's visual evidence. We will also include maps to detail out for the ASAP advisor where they need to focus their attention. And then we will describe what the significant issue is. And in this case, we're talking about stream resectioning, we're talking about removal of bank vegetation and boulder embankments along the stream. Part 4 of the referral then looks at the proposed agricultural measures, and they come under 3 different categories. So we have source control, we have pathway interception, and we have mobilization control. So in this case, under source control, farmer education and awareness is very important. In particular, farmers should be checking with the IFI before carrying out any in-stream work. With regards to pathway interception, landowners should allow banks to be roughly grazed along small streams and avoid reseeding and improve pasture right up to the edge of the stream. They should also block or slow the flow from field drains directly into tributary streams and the main channel. So are we there yet? Well, from LAWPRO's point of view, our next steps, we'll probably do another 2 rounds of nutrient chemistry sampling just to assess progress on the measures and identify any other pressures that we may have missed. We'll be working with Cork County Council to monitor siltation levels in the stream that drains the wind farm development. And we'll also monitor sediment levels through a CAHA project which has been set up. And we'll be looking to establish a baseline with advice from the National Hymo and Sediment Working Group. So we have a lot of theoretical work, but can it make a difference on the ground? Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. The key to success here is getting the buy-in of the local rural community, and their river means a lot to them. So Dairygold and Teagasc advisors have been working actively with the farmers in the catchment since mid-2019, addressing those nutrient and sediment issues which I've identified here. There has been great buy-in from the farmers, and in particular, 9 farmers located along the most impacted reaches are fully engaged with the process. Champion farmers in the catchment are helping to drive the project. And with Teagasc and Dairygold assistance and LAWPRO support, the CAHA project was set up under the umbrella of the Bandon Rivers Trust. And because it's located within an SAC, National Parks and Wildlife Service were consulted on the project. And I'll just give a quick shout out to the Bandon Rivers Trust here. This is just a shot from their Facebook page. So I would invite people to like and share that page. So going back to the CAHA project, they had a successful application this year for €3,300 from the Community Water Development Fund for the first step of targeted measures. And that includes targeted fencing, water troughs and a nose pump. And LAWPRO was able to provide guidance to the project with regard to the areas that they should focus on for these measures. The project is planning to showcase it for Heritage Week, which is the end of August. They'll be inviting the public and landowners onto the demonstration farm, including a stream walk, to highlight what can be achieved through engagement. And of course, in current times with COVID, there is a plan B, and that will be to produce a video interviewing local farmers and stakeholders, talking about the importance of the CAHA River in terms of water quality and biodiversity. And just looking at some of the solutions, now these are taken not directly from the CAHA itself, but from other areas where the ASSEP advisors have been active. This picture here is from Peter Comer in Mayo. And you can see on the right-hand side there, the stream is under the trees. And to the left of the stream, then we have a vegetated riverbank, and then we have the fence, then we have a managed field margin, then there's a good buffer zone, and then you can see where the slurry spreading starts. And for slurry spreading, they've used less technology, low emission slurry spreading. And these measures have multiple benefits for water quality, for greenhouse gases, for ammonia emissions, and for biodiversity. Some more solutions here. You can see more buffer zones. You can see good hedgerow and managed field margin and fencing. River crossings. Here we see a bridge constructed in consultation with the IFI prior to any of the work commencing. And management of channels then. Education is key for both landowners and contractors. ASAP are working with farmers to encourage revegetation of channels and minimal maintenance, cleaning only blocked sections. So, policy considerations. We have looked at several actions that should improve water quality in the single water body, but is that enough? We also need to take a step back and see how we can use what we found to ensure the water quality in this water body is protected into the future, and then to see how we can use our knowledge of this water body to protect other water bodies. And that requires us to look at policy and systems, what needs to change and what needs to be added. And the first is land use planning. And as we're aware, the department is preparing detailed planning guidance, which will hopefully be available towards the end of this year. Channel maintenance also is an issue, and the department is doing a regulatory framework review. There is guidance available, in particular from the OPW, but also other bodies. But there is training required on that, and it needs to be widespread to all parties who are carrying out works on channels. Cattle access points. Should there be funding for alternative drinking points? Nose pumps are not suitable for dairy farms. And also then river fencing and buffer strips. Should there be funding support for riverside fencing? And a very welcome measure this year for buffer land eligible is now eligible within a PAA under the basic payment scheme if it has been approved by an ASSOP advisor. Of course, in selecting actions, we need to focus on sustainability co-benefits. So we have a preference for measures that benefit water quality, climate action, and biodiversity. And just in conclusion then, success in identifying problems and fixing them requires shared ownership of purpose and vision, a focused, multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder approach, a development of local solutions for local problems, time to build the relationships required to effect meaningful practice change, policymakers open to a change of approach, implementation of basic measures by stakeholders, collaboration on implementation of additional measures, equitable funding for some additional measures. Thank you. If there are any questions, please use the conference app. And I'd like to give a particular thanks to the CAHA team, to Jim Johnson of LAWPRO, to Ciara Donovan with Dairygold, for Lane Giles with Chagask, for Cork County Council staff, the Bandon Rivers Trust, the local farmers, and all the Southwest team. Thank you.